Hello everyone, this is the first video and hopefully it's going to be a series of videos documenting the creation of a new Hangman project that I'm making with a partner for school project. This is for a global online academy class, but I plan on continuing after we submit the version that we're going to submit for the project. So right now, I've really been working a lot on the user interface, the GUI. So we only have one class so far, and it is the GUI. It uses LWJGL, which is the lightweight Java game library. And as you can see, it's not a huge class. A lot of it really needs to be condensed, and I just haven't bothered to do it yet. So that whole thing you're seeing now is a switch statement that runs the whole rendering. So really what this does, here I can run it for you and show you better, is creates this, which is a window. It says Hangman, how many lives you have left, the X base and the Y base, which I'll explain in 1 minute. And so we haven't added any functionality yet to actually play Hangman, but what we have done is created the actual stick figure that will be drawn, and we're hoping that now that we've done this, it will be easier to implement the buttons and the words and the guessing letter system now that we already have this part done. So if you hit spacebar, it draws the head, and now this X base and Y base right here are actually the relative coordinates of where it draws the head, because we don't know where we're going to end up having it in the end game, and we didn't want it to be at a fixed place because that would take forever to recode. That's called hard coding. So if you use the arrow keys, obviously this will be taken out later once we release this game, but for now it changes the X coordinate and the Y coordinate of where the Hangman starts being drawn from. So you can change that around, and you see that now that the head is drawn, you only have 7 lives left. If you hit spacebar again, draws the body, you have 6 lives left, and again you can still move this guy around. Hit it again, you go to 5 lives, the left arm, 4 lives in the right arm, 3 lives right leg, 2 lives left leg, and then when you have 1 life left, it actually draws the Hangman stand. And when you run out of lives, not only does it draw the noose around your player's neck, but it changes the body to be red, and it keeps the stand and the noose white. And again, you can move all that, so you can position in the up left corner, and then maybe have buttons down here, the word over here. We haven't decided what we're going to have the end game look like yet. But real quick, I will run through the code that makes this work. So you've got importing the library, creating the class, declaring a couple variables. This px and py right here, these two values are the relative starting points for where it's going to draw and render the Hangman. So here's your first constructor. It's really setting up the window for you, initializing this LWJGL. And then this is where the meat of the code happens in this render loop. So it's a while loop, and it's saying while you are not trying to close this window, it's going to do everything. So if you're not hitting the X button in the top right corner, or you're not hitting escape, it's going to render this window continuously and keep updating. So you set the title, and the reason this set title is in the rendering loop is because we want it to keep being updated. We need the lives left to change, we need the X coordinates and the Y coordinates to change, that kind of thing. So this GL clear is just saying, this is one of the mandatory setup pieces for an LWJGL file. And declaring a few more variables, the X and Y values of the mouse, and then the change in X and the change in Y. These things right here, this is saying if you hit escape, the game's going to end. If you hit right, you're going to increase the value of the X base, that kind of thing. And I don't know if I mentioned it, but while the game is running, you can actually go all 4 directions and then also diagonally if you hold 2 directions at the same time. And again, that's not a huge deal because it's going to end up being taken out later, but for now it's just a cool thing to note. This right here is ultimately going to be removed as well. This is for bug testing right now. This is saying when you hit the spacebar, the game state's going to increase until it gets to 7, which at that point it's going to loop back around to 0. And the game state is actually the value up here with the lives left. So the code for this is 8 minus the game state. So right now the game state's at 0, so you have 8 lives. When the game state turns to 1, it draws the head, and it's 8 minus 1. So that's just a really simple calculation that's really useful. And then now we are at game state 7 because it starts at 0. So when we hit spacebar again, it's going to switch back to game state 0 and 8 lives. So that's a simple loop. And then this right here, this switch statement, gives 8 different cases, and I'm sure there's a way to condense this a little bit. I just gotta play around with it. These are basically just drawing the vertices for the different parts of the lines, and it's really messy right now, but it works pretty well, so I'm hesitant to change it at this moment. The only thing that's different other than copy pasting and adding a little bit from case to case is in the final one you also have two color statements. You have GL color 3F, and this one changes the coloring to red right here, and this one changes it back to white. So this code block right here, this is drawing the body, the head, the arms, the legs, the things that are going to be drawn in red. And then after it switches to white, this is when it draws the stand and the noose. This is just some debug information. It prints out the X and Y coordinates of the mouse. That was for me while I was programming where the vertices would go. This just updates the window, syncs it so that it has a maximum of 60 frames per second. This ends the game when you do want to destroy the window, and then it calls the constructor in the main. So it's not incredibly complicated right now. Again, this is just the GUI. We haven't actually added the Hangman functionality yet, but that's going to be next. So check back.